Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. I hope you and your family are well and safe. Today is Tuesday, April 6th of 2021, and it's 9 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia. Today, I will take you through on a product which we have built in-house by the Octane team, and it's called Datafusion. Datafusion is a connector which will help you to connect your IBM Planning Analytics TM1 with other BI tools. A brief introduction about myself. My name is Samir and I work for Octane Software Solution as a managing consultant. I have been working for Octane since 2016, and with IBM Planning Analytics, I've been working since 2007, which is almost 14 years now. I'm a certified TM1 developer. Apart from managing large TM1 projects, I've also worked on migration of TM1 projects from on-premises to the cloud. My email is mentioned at the last line of the slide. Please feel free to shoot me an email in regards to today's session or anything related to IBM Planning Analytics, or even any suggestions or topics you would like me to cover in the next meetup session. Sorry, I was just going through the agenda for today's session. Basically, I'll start with the background, the challenges faced by companies who are using both TM1 and other BI tools, and then we will have a demo session. And then after the demo, I'll just summarize all the things what we have gone through. And then finally, in the last slide, I'll talk about the special offer from Octane. So in terms of the background, as I was talking about, we at Octane have been in business for more than 5 years, and we have implemented TM1 in many large companies. And one of the most common challenges we have seen in many companies is they have TM1 and they also have Power BI and Qlik and Tableau as well. And we have seen many different ways these companies, they try to export data sitting in TM1 into Power BI. And that is probably one of the reasons why we have built Datafusion. Now, if you see the challenges or the problems which these companies have faced, you can see the number one is resource intensive. I think you need to have a TM1 developer to start with to build a TM1 process by which the data which is sitting in TM1 can be exported into a CSV file. And also, as you can see from the point number 2, there is over dependence on IT, which means IT needs to have a shared folder for these TM1 developers to have them access to produce CSV file. And then it's a manual in nature as well. You need to produce these files and keep it somewhere in a shared folder, and from there a Power BI developer will pick it up and load into the Power BI reports. And there could be multiple times this process has to be executed if the data doesn't reconcile with TM1. So if the Power BI reports doesn't show you the numbers what TM1 has, maybe because of the timing issue or because of some export of TM1 data didn't come through properly. So there could be many reasons why the data doesn't reconcile. So if it doesn't reconcile, then it needs to be repeated all the steps what I've just mentioned. A TM1 developer needs to export into a shared folder. A Power BI developer needs to pick up the file and then load into the Power BI. And then there's security issue as well, whether people are seeing the right data in the Power BI. So all those things when we were looking at, I think that's when we realized that there is a gap which we need to fill it up. So with that, I think let's jump into the demo, and probably I'll showcase what Datafusion is and how easy it is used in your organization. So for this, I have a Power BI dashboard. As you can see, this Power BI dashboard has got some filters on the top, like say Americas, Europe, and I've got some multiple products on the top. I've also got 3 key KPIs. I've got the gross margin, sales, and the cost, and I've got some pie chart and some line chart at the bottom. So with this, we can see that not only Datafusion can bring your TM1 data, but it can also bring your dimensions, elements, or consolidations or hierarchies from your TM1 instance into Power BI within a few clicks. So let me run through this form and we'll see what happens at the end of filling up this form. So the first thing this form, it asks you is the server name or the IP address of your TM1 server. It could be your dev or it could be your prod server. So because I'm using my laptop, I'm going to give my laptop a name. The next one we have is the HTTP port number. Now this is the port number which should be there in your config file. For the Datafusion to work, we should have HTTP port number parameter in your config file. Now for the instance which I'm using, which is sdata, so for this instance, the HTTP port number I have got is 8010. And the next two things is the credentials, basically your username and password, which you're using for the TM1 instance. And as we go down, the next one we have is the select mode. So within this select mode, we have three options. The base mode, basically this is your integrated security mode 1 in your config file. We also have got CAM, which is your integrated security mode 5. And if your TM1 is on the cloud, we have that option as well. So for this demo, I will use the first one, which is the base mode. So base mode is basically your integrated security mode equals 1 in your config file. Right. As we go down, we can see the next option we have is the select method. Now with this select method, we have three options. The first one is your public view. The second option we have is a private view. And the third option is for your dimensions, basically. So again, for the purpose of this demo, I will select this first option, which is public view. Now, as we select, you can see now the Datafusion is now talking to TM1, and it will try to bring all the cubes. So we have about 10 cubes in our S data. So those 10 cubes will be now be displayed in this select cube dropdown. So those are about 10 cubes we have in the S data, which is basically the same as what we are seeing in the S data instance. For this demo, I will pick up a cube called sales cube. Now, when I click on the sales cube, you will notice again Datafusion will talk to TM1 instance. So let me select that. And you can see it is now talking to TM1, and it will bring all the public views. So from the sales cube, we have about 15 public views. I can see there are a few private views as well. So those private views will be ignored because we have selected the public view. So for instance, I think I've got a private view called ZZSS1. So we should not see this one because that's a private view. I think the rest is all public views. So if I go down, yep, so you can see all the public views has been listed in this drop down, in the next drop down called select view. So this is basically the same list which we are seeing in this views list. So if this Datafusion is being used by a user who has got a private view, then he will be selecting this so that he can get his private views. Right, so I'll leave that select view as actual versus budget. That's my first view. So the next option I have in this Datafusion form is the suppress zero. So if you have this view called actual versus budget with no suppression switched on, then we can switch on the suppress zero using this form. Right, so just want to summarize what we just discussed and what we have seen so far. So with the Datafusion, the benefits you can see is it's real-time access to TM1. So either you can do a ad hoc refresh or you can even schedule. So you're gonna get your data instantly available to your Power BI dashboard users. Now there is no dependency on export import. So that was one of the pain points which we discussed in the initial phase, where there is a dependency of a TM1 developer and there is a dependency of an IT resource where there are multiple resources needs to be involved for a TM1 data to come from TM1 cubes or dimensions into Power BI. So that gets eliminated straight away, as there is no dependency using Datafusion. The third point, as I mentioned, it not only brings your cube data, but also your dimension elements as well, whether it's a simple element or a consolidation element, or it could be your hierarchies as well. So all those things can be brought from TM1 into Power BI, again, matter of few clicks. It's a self-service utility. Every user in your organization, let's say you have about 500,000 or 1,000 plus users who are using TM1 who wants to bring the data from their private views. Let's say they have their own private views into Power BI. Again, it's a self-service. There is no dependency, or they don't have to involve a TM1 developer or a IT resource to get the data from TM1 to Power BI. No scripting required. I think there is, as you can see from this demo, which I've gone through, there is not a single step or a single line of code a user has to write. It's just a matter of filling up that form, get the link, and get that link in your Power BI, and off you go. It's that simple it is. Easy of connect with TM1. Again, there is no other tool required for Datafusion to work. It works very easily, simple to set up, and simple to use as well. And the final point here is, I think it can be used across multiple BI tools. It could be your Power BI, or it could be Tableau or Qlik. It works on all these different Power BI tools without any issue. So I'll go through one more slide, and before I take the question. So the last slide I have is it's a special offer from Octane. So what we want to propose here is there is a 60 days free trial we would like to offer. So with that 60 days free trial, as you can see from the point number 1, our team will install and configure Datafusion for your environment. So that's point number 1. So if you opt for a free trial, our team will help you to set up and have this Datafusion run on your dev or production environment. We will be providing you full support during that 60 days. It could be any time zone. You could be in US, or you could be in Europe, or you could be in Japan or Australia, anywhere. We have a 24/7, 365 days support from our Indian office, who will be providing you full support during this 60 days trial. Now, when we say this trial, we are not taking away any features. So this is a full version of Datafusion, which we are giving it for 60 days free trial, and you can see whether it fits in your business. Does it solve the purpose, which is basically bringing the data from TM1 to Power BI if you're using Power BI in your organization? And then you can make a decision after 60 days whether you want to proceed further or you want to just uninstall Datafusion.